Hello everyone, this is Poonam Kaur, Assistant Professor, Government First Grade College, Pagipalli. Today we'll be discussing subject Consumer Behavior for BBA 5th semester, Bengaluru North University. So we will be discussing 4th chapter, Consumers Decision Making Process, and in that the topic for our today's discussion will be Models of Consumer Behavior, in that Angel Blackwell and Minyard model. So today we'll be discussing Angel Blackwell and Minyard model. So before exactly starting today's topic, first let us recap in previous class what we had discussed. So in our previous class, we were discussing Howard-Schacht model of buying behavior. So we have seen how this model was developed and what are the different variables under this model. And we have seen in the Howard-Schacht model, there are 3 levels of decision making. And after these 3 levels of decision making, we have here 4 variables, or we can call them components of a Howard-Schacht model. So there were 4 components. These all we have seen in the previous class. Now, today we will be discussing another model, and before exactly starting the topic, let us see the learning objective of the chapter. The objective of this chapter is to provide an understanding of consumers' decision making process. So, how the consumer will be making a decision, what are the different steps in decision making, we will be seeing under this chapter. Now, session outcomes. So the students will be able to explain Angel Blackwell and Minyard model. So what is this Angel Blackwell and Minyard model? Let us see now. Now, this model talks about consumer behavior and a decision making process in the form of 5 steps, or we can call it as 5 activities and other related variables which occur over a period of time. Now, under this model, the consumer behavior is studied as decision making process, and this decision making process is taken in 5 steps, and those 5 steps are: the first step is problem recognition, then information search, next alternative evaluation, that will be followed by choice, and then finally outcome would be derived. So 5 steps which are involved in the decision process under Angel Blackwell and Minyard model includes: first, problem recognition. So we have to first identify what is the exactly problem is, and identifying that problem is more important than solving the problem. So once if we have identified the particular problem, we can solve the problem by studying and analyzing that particular problem. So first is problem recognition. Once the problem is recognized, we will be searching the information to solve the problem. Okay, so how best we can solve the problem? The information would be gathered from various sources. So after searching information and receiving the information, we will be evaluating the alternatives what we are having. So various available alternatives would be evaluated. Once the alternatives are evaluated, we are going to select a particular alternative. That is, choice would be done. And finally, when the choice is done, like we have selected a particular alternative, and then comes the outcome. So these are the 5 steps which are involved in decision process under Angel Blackwell and Minyard model. Now, apart from these 5 steps, the other related variables included under this model include information input, then information processing, product brand evaluation, general motivating influences, and internationalized environment influences. So here the other variables include another 5 variables. These are again relating to the model. Information input would be done, information processing will be done, product brand evaluation will be conducted, general motivating influences would be studied, and then internationalized environment influence also would be studied. So the diagrammatic representation of this Angel, Blackwell and Maillard model is been depicted here. So we will be first considering the input variable. This input will be again done by information processing. Information processing will be followed by decision process, and the decision process again it will be continued by decisional variables, and then these decisional variables will be again affected on external factors. Now, under the input, what are the inputs we will be considering? This we will be studying. Then information processing. How this information processing will take place is, here we will be considering exposure, attention, comprehension, acceptance, and then how we are going to retention. Then comes the memory, how these all are memorized, and this memory would be followed in again decision process. So in the decision process we will be considering five important steps as we have seen here. First, problem recognition would be done, search for information, alternative evaluation, choice and purchase, and finally that purchase again it will be followed by outcomes, that is we will be getting either satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Now, to take this decision process, to identify these all five steps in decision process, there are different variables which will be influencing these decision process. So now, the decisional variables include beliefs, motives, attitudes, the lifestyles, intentions, evaluative criteria, and the normative compliance. So these variables will be having their impact on the decision process, and based on this decision process, the information again would be decided. See, here in the decision process, not only decisional variables will influence, but also the certain external factors also influence the decision process. Now, what are these external factors? So these external factors include the cultural norms, the social class to which we belong, the reference group who are influencing our decision, then the family influence, and then the unexpected circumstances, the contingent situations which are arising, they also influence our decision process. So altogether, these all variables, decisional variables and the external factors, all these will influence our decision process. So then this five-step decision process would be followed by considering all these different variables. This final decision process will take place where problem recognition, search, alternative evaluation, choice, purchase, and that purchase would be analyzed as whether the outcome of the purchase is satisfaction or it is dissatisfaction. So this is what the entire model in a gist form. Now, about the model, again let us see how it has been derived. The model has emphasized on the conscious decision making process which is adopted by the consumer. The model is easy to understand and it is very flexible. This model recognizes that a consumer may not go through all the steps always. This is because in case of repeat purchase, the consumer may bypass some of the steps. So as we know, this is very simple and easy to understand model, and of course it is very flexible. So people can, modify according to their need of buying. So this model also concentrates and explains every consumer need not to follow all the steps while making the decision. If a consumer is a repeater, like he has already used that particular product, and now he is going for a repeat purchase. So when a particular consumer is going for a repeat purchase, he need not to go through all the steps. He can bypass or he can skip some of the steps and variables, and directly he can go to final decision of purchasing. So in the decision process, as we have seen, five different steps are there. So if a particular consumer is a repeat purchaser, he can directly skip a few of the steps in that, and finally he can reach to the purchase step. Now, the one limitation, that is the inclusion of environmental variables and general motivating influences, but not specifying the effect of these on the buyer behavior. Right. The One of the basic limitation of this model is it does not include any environmental variables and general motivating influences, but it is not specifying the effect of these on the buying behavior. They have not specified the environmental aspects, how this internal, external environment affect the buying behavior. It has not been clearly depicted in the model, and they have not shown these as motivating, influencing, and mm, uh, motivating factor in this entire buying process. This is one of the drawback of this model. It shares certain things with Howard-Chet model, as we have studied already Howard-Chet model in the previous session. So here again some of the variables, some of the concepts, again it got repeated. So this is also one of the drawback. The core of the this EBM model is a decision process which is augmented with inputs from information processing and other influencing factor. So here the basic drawback is here the decision process is again augmented, like it is modified with inputs from information processing, and these are again considered as influencing factors. Now, apart from this, the four sections of the model include: one is the first is input, and then comes the information processing, decision process, and the variables influencing the decision process. These are the four different sections under this model. The EBM model, when compared to the Howard-Ship model, is more coherent and flexible than the latter. So it is like more flexible, and it is at the same time it is like quite easy for a particular consumer to understand it. So this is more coherent than the Howard-Ship model. This model also includes human process like memory, information processing, and considers both the positive and as well as negative purchase outcomes. So here it not only concentrates on the final purchase outcome, but it analyzes whether the purchase is positive or negative, whether the consumer or the customer is satisfied or dissatisfied. This aspect is also considered under this model. So in our today's session, friends, in our today's session, we have discussed Angel, Blackwell, and Minyard model, where we have seen the decision process includes 5 different steps. These are problem recognition, information search, alternative evaluation, choice, and the outcome. Then we have seen again the other related variables which are important in this model, that include information input, information processing, product brand evaluation, general motivating influences, and internationalized environmental influence. Then we have seen a pictorial diagrammatic representation of this model and how the different variables are influencing on decision process. This has been studied here. So then we have seen the different 4 sections of the model, like first comes input, then information processing, decision process, and then the final variables influencing this decision process. So here we conclude the session. I hope you have understood. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thank you.